degrees we are presenting today.
Well, thank you very much for that very generous introduction. I greet all of you this morning, this beautiful morning. Today is a special day. Today is truly a special day for all of you, for all of us, and for me, I bring you very warm greetings from Africa. I bring you the warmest of greetings from Johannesburg. I come from two very special countries. South Africa, on one hand, which overcame a very difficult period of apartheid. And through the leadership of Nelson Mandela, who was inspired by Gandhiji to lead a non-violent transition to democracy in South Africa. So I'm here to honor India. I'm here to honor SSIM. And I'm here to honor you as the most amazing graduates today. Nelson Mandela said, education is the most powerful weapon we can use to change the world. And today, you, as a graduate in this convocation, represents the best that India has to offer to the world. And through that, I would like to honor SSIM, particularly the founder, SS Sympathy, whose today is his special day. And would like to also honor the President and Chief Executive, Ms. Arthi. Would like to honor our very good friend, Mr. Silas Sympathy, Vice President. And would like to honor Professor Kamalaka, the Executive President, Ms. Deepika Sympathy, and the Director of Academic Residential Programs, Dr. Chari, and of course, my very special friend, Ms. Vidya Bandaka, who has really been wonderful in reaching out and creating this wonderful program. Now, in my address today, I'll focus on three things. The first is to really speak about my vision. And this vision is a vision for young people. This vision is our vision as young people because I'm here for you. I'm only 37 years old, and like you, I represent the millions of young people that now represent a great majority of the world. So this is our world. And so this is the first part of my speech is to focus on that. The second part of my speech, I want to focus on the collaboration between SSIM and the Ubuntu Institute. We are going to be doing some amazing things between the SSIM and Africa, and really the global community, particularly with reference to the BRICS conversation, because South Africa and India are part of the BRICS community, and in what we call the post-Western world. This is becoming increasingly important, especially for young leaders like yourselves, because we have an opportunity unlike ever before to really own this space. The last thing I'm going to do is to really specifically zoom into the student exchange opportunities that we are going to be launching here today. For some of you that don't know, one of the things that I am doing in South Africa, or that I'm very well known for, is that I currently run the largest international student exchange program. So as we celebrate 51 years, as we celebrate the 85th birthday celebration of the founder today, I would like to focus first on you, my fellow young people who are graduating today. Graduation is quite a journey. it is not an easy process. And I know I only have 20 minutes to speak today. But I firstly want to honor you. I really want to congratulate you for all your hard work. And I would like us to give you a warm round of applause again for the wonderful achievements that you have achieved. You know, when I was a student at Tufts University, I had to ask myself a very difficult question. What is it that I was going to do to contribute with this education that I've received? Because my parents made it clear that you go to school because you have to come back and empower your family and you empower the country. And I had a life-changing moment when I went and I was appointed by the United Nations as a UN ambassador on the Millennium Development Goals. And that opportunity was in Senegal, in Dakar, where this global youth conference was organized. And all of us have a life-changing moment. And for me, that was my life-changing moment. Originally, when I was in school, I started off with business and international relations, and I thought I was going to do business. But after this conference, I couldn't believe the amount of problems that were in the world, from poverty to HIV and AIDS, to the suppression of women, violence against women, the environmental concerns that we have, the incredible poverty that is out there. And as I was introduced earlier, I realized that there's a problem. If we do not create business leaders that are thoughtful, that have a social conscience, then we're going to have a serious problem. And I know many of you are coming from engineering backgrounds, are coming from business MBA backgrounds. So this is the first point I want to make, is that in the world that we live in today, it's no longer just business as usual, it's business unusual. We have to translate our business successes in a much bigger way into the social, into the community framework, because it has a huge impact on the bottom line. So when I went back to Tufts for my graduation, I dedicated myself to a really big cause. And that was to look at how I can personally contribute to the UN Millennium Development Goals. And these goals are very daunting. You have 8 big goals. Each one of them almost would take a lifetime for us to achieve. The eradication of poverty alone around the world is a very, very big task for us. The eradication of HIV and AIDS is a very big task for us. But I said, you know what? If we as young people don't step up to the plate and stop blaming the previous generations, there's nothing that will happen. We need to step up. And these goals are not big enough. These are our goals, and they will affect us, and they will affect our children. So it's our business as young people to own these processes. Now, what is incredible is that the Millennium Development Goals have a target of 2015. So that means they're expiring in 2 years' time. And guess what? Many countries, including India, South Africa, have not met all of the Millennium Development Goals. And these Millennium Development Goals are, at least in 2015, we're reaching the halfway point, and still the progress is lacking because the high levels of poverty are still there. So the first part of what I want to talk to you about is to actually invite you into a new process. I just came back from New York 2 weeks ago. There was a UN General Assembly, and there was also the Clinton Global Initiative that took place in New York, of which I participated. And what we were specifically looking at are processes and ways in which the youth agenda can really be heightened and more young people can be involved in what we call the post-2015 agenda. The post-2015 agenda is where I want to invite you to. The post-2015 agenda looks as follows. When the Millennium Development Goals expire, many of you don't know this, but you will soon be hearing this. There's already been a high-level panel that has been looking at what will happen with the MDGs beyond the 2015 period. And there's a new commitment to something that will be called the Sustainable Development Goals. So the Millennium Development Goals are going to be replaced by something called the SDGs. And there's already, the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon already has appointed a high-level panel that includes highly esteemed people from around the world to look at the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, the SDGs, as we will soon know them to be, are very important. They're making one very specific argument. They are saying we need to build upon the successes and failures of the Millennium Development Goals, but most importantly, we need to increasingly focus on sustainability. I repeat that. We need to increasingly focus on sustainability. So whilst we've done quite a lot, there has been really little focus around how to sustain the work that we do. I'm sure you're aware of the Millennium Villages that Jeffrey Sachs, for example, led, and a lot of the, I think, hard work that a lot of the governments around the world are working on. Now, what is relevant for you as my fellow young people is that unlike any other period in the history of the world, the post-2015 processes include the highest numbers of young people ever seen on the global planet. Let me give you an example. In Africa, well, before I go into Africa, there's this phenomenon called the youth bulge. We have a major youth bulge in Asia, the Middle East, in Africa. And what this means is that in places like Africa, we have a population of about 1.25 billion people by the year 2020, 2030. It is estimated that about 600 million of those African people over the next 20 years are going to be young people below the age of 30. The Americas and Europe mostly have aging populations. So most of those populations are getting old. We are the future. India, China, and most of the Africa populations have a youth bulge. We have this burst of energy. So what this means is that for us as young people, and especially for you as future corporate leaders, there's a huge, massive opportunity in the youth market. There's a new burst of consumer goods, of educational products, healthcare products that specifically talk to this youth bulge that is emerging. That's relevant to you as a young person today graduating. And you and I have this privilege of inheriting this massive youth bulge. And the question is, what are we going to do about this youth bulge? And at my level, these are the questions that I am posing to the United Nations to say, you cannot talk about sustainable development goals without young people as part of that agenda. And most importantly, you cannot talk about sustainability without including young people in that agenda. That is where you come in, for you to say the same things to your governments, for you to lead the corporations that you're leading to say, we have both a massive opportunity with young people, but if these young people are not nurtured and raised properly, we're going to have serious problems. Look at the Arab Spring. Look at what has happened in Libya. Look at what has happened in Morocco. Look at what is happening in many countries where young people that don't have opportunities, whether it's poverty, whether it's frustration with their governments, are now taking the law into their hands. And I'm saying this is the beginning of a major transformation. At the United Nations, for your information, we debated something which is very fascinating. The young leader who's a UN Special Envoy for Ban Ki-moon raised a very interesting argument. He said, in the future, democracy may not be the same way as we see it today. It's possible that because of the fast changes with technology, we may not rely on the 4-year democratic cycle of voting. That might be an outdated concept for our generation because we want change now. It's possible that we might be voting even much sooner. But these are the disruptions that technology is bringing into our lives. These are the opportunities that you, as a future leader, have to think about. So there are massive, what I'm saying is there are massive opportunities that lie for you and I as young people in this world. But then there's also massive challenges. The other thing that I want to mention, moving beyond the multilateral global agenda, which I'm really inviting you to be part of, is to say we also want leaders who are globally exposed. It's not enough anymore to live in Hyderabad and to tell yourself that you have an MBA or a PhD from Hyderabad when you have not left your city. Forget going to Africa or going to the US, but just going to another Indian city or going to another Asian country. This is why I'm here. I'm here because of a partnership to develop global leaders. We have to be talking about global citizenship. It's no longer about Hyderabad. It's no longer about Johannesburg. We're talking about a highly globalized society. You are going to be leading corporations that are going to be demanding that of you. So it really is important that we look at a globalized context and really take this concept of global citizenry very, very seriously. So as I congratulate you, I'm also leaving you with those two challenges to say, what are you going to do towards achieving and contributing towards a better world? I'm also saying, what are you going to do to contribute to a global society as the future global leaders? I leave that for you to answer, not in words, but in deeds. And as we say in Africa, a person that never travels always thinks that their mother is the best cook. So what that means is that go and discover new food. Go and discover new places. This is not the end. This is very much the beginning. So now I want to speak a little bit about the partnership between SSIM and Ubuntu, which I think is very critical. I've done my part with regards to the young people and the inspiration and hopefully the call to look at what we can do to work together. And through SSIM, I hope you'll stay connected, because what I'm just about to speak about is the work that we will continue doing with SSIM. So I urge you to stay close to SSIM. What we are talking about is an SSIM Ubuntu gateway across India, South Africa, and looking into the BRICS community. On the 19th of April in 2013, SSIM signed an MOU with the Ubuntu Institute in Johannesburg, represented by Mr. Silas Sampathy in Johannesburg, traveling with his team. And there were 4 key areas that we committed ourselves to. The one was to look at short and long-term faculty exchange opportunities between South Africa and SSIM, to look at undergraduate, graduate, and master's level student exchange programs. Number 3, to look at collaborative research and discovery, learning and teaching and engagement. And lastly, other mutually agreed educational programs on and behalf of South African universities. So the first thing that I want to pledge as your speaker today is I am pledging that over the next 3 years, I am going to support, the Ubuntu Institute is going to support at least 50 to 100 students from South Africa that will come to SSIM on a student exchange program. We think that it's very important. One of the key areas of pride for SSIM, as you carry the SSIM flag, is that SSIM is located in a very special part of India that has very strong ICT, biomedical. There's very keen interest in what you call medical tourism. There's very keen interest in the pharmaceutical industry. There's very keen interest in medicine sciences. South Africa is not doing well in medicine science education. Our rates are way below the OECD targets. So what we're hoping that SSIM will do is to help us train some of our medicine science teachers, for example. And of course, when you're talking business, SSIM has got the best business leadership that we think is very important for the global development of future leaders, whether it's the engineering programs or not. South Africa, the Prime Minister here and our South African President, Jacob Zuma, have signed bilateral agreements. There's already existing relationships between India and South Africa that go way back to Gandhiji's time and even before that we need to strengthen, that our generation needs to strengthen. So we're going to need you as future corporate leaders to help us strengthen those ties. Areas like agriculture are very important. Areas like technology are very important, as I mentioned. And it's up to us to realize those opportunities. And as I said, the new BRICS environment provides us with amazing opportunities for us to really, really work together. And so we, in conclusion, want to strengthen this relationship. And I am here. After this convocation, we will be having closed-door meetings to look at how we're going to implement that MOU, because I think there's a great opportunity. And the last thing is to say that the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, South Africa, India, China relationship is a game changer. It's a game changer that you and I have to capitalize on. So we have this conference in February that's coming that I think is very important, because we are saying the academic institutions have a very important role to play in the BRICS conversation. We haven't seen that. Of course, the BRICS as a collaboration was just recently announced, and we're hoping that the academic institutions will play a big role, because skills development, human capital, is a very big part of what we need to do to grow and really strengthen the BRICS relationships to the next level. And we're saying India should take lead. We're saying young Indian leaders should take lead in taking this to the next level. So we are looking forward to implementing the MOU with SSIM. And again, we'd like to congratulate the founder of the school who made this dream possible. We want to say kudos to the excellent leadership of this institution for keeping the flag high, and to say to you, future SSIM ambassadors, the world needs you. We need everything that you've learned in this institution. We need it not only here, whether you're in Hyderabad, or you come from outside of Hyderabad, because this is an institution that had students from even outside of the city, to say the Sustainable Development Goals, the Millennium Development Goals are really yours and mine's goals, because of the young people that are going to be affected over the next 20, 30 years. And with those few words, I would like to say thank you very much for affording me the opportunity to be your keynote address today. And I was deeply honored to be here in India with you today. And I wish you Godspeed in your careers. And I hope that you will truly continue representing the best of what India has to offer to the rest of the world. I thank you.
Thank you, Your Highness, for your